If you're a leader in Europe right now, you're probably feeling this incredible tension building. On one hand, there's this massive push for AI innovation. Everyone wants to move faster. But on the other hand, there's a huge wave of new EU regulations that's about to hit. So the real question isn't if these two forces are going to collide, it's how you're going to navigate the impact. Let's break down what's coming. So here's our game plan. We're going to look at what we're calling the 2026 regulatory tsunami. We'll decode the two big ones, the EU AI Act and the NIS2 directive. Then, we'll talk about how to flip this whole compliance challenge on its head, turning it from a burden into a real strategic asset. And we'll wrap up with a clear, actionable blueprint you can take right back to your boardroom. All right, let's start with the big picture. Why all the fuss about 2026? Well, it's because this is a really critical inflection point. It's the year where two massive, and I mean massive pieces of legislation, one on AI, one on cybersecurity, fully converge. And that's creating a brand new and pretty complex reality for pretty much every organization in Europe. And when you look at the timeline, you can really see this perfect storm brewing. It starts in August 2025 when the first obligations for general-purpose AI models kick in. Then, just a few months later, bam, February 2026, the really comprehensive rules for high-risk AI systems apply. And right on top of that, in that same first half of the year, NIS2 is expected to be live in national law. It's a very fast, very condensed period of huge regulatory change. And this really gets to the heart of the most fundamental shift here. This is not just another checklist for the IT department to handle. Nope. The combined force of the AI Act and NIS2 elevates cybersecurity and AI governance from a siloed technical job to a core strategic obligation for the entire management body. The responsibility now sits squarely and firmly in the boardroom. So let's start decoding the first part of this wave, the EU AI Act. And make no mistake, this is a landmark piece of legislation. It's the world's first comprehensive law on AI. But here's the kicker. Its reach is extraterritorial. That means it doesn't matter where your company is based. If you develop, deploy, or even just use an AI system that affects people inside the EU, this applies to you. The first question everybody asks is, well, what even counts as AI under this law? And the Act's definition is, let's just say, very broad. We're talking about any machine-based system that can operate with some level of autonomy and generate outputs like predictions or decisions. This goes way beyond just the latest generative AI tools. It could cover a huge range of algorithmic systems your organization is probably already using today. Now, the way the Act manages this wide scope is actually pretty smart. It uses a tiered risk-based framework. Some AI is just flat-out banned as an unacceptable risk, like social scoring. On the other end, minimal risk systems have no new rules. But the category that most businesses really need to focus on is high risk. If your AI touches things like critical infrastructure, hiring decisions, or healthcare, you're in for a whole raft of very strict new obligations. And when we say strict, we mean it. The list is long. You have to maintain a continuous risk management system for the AI's entire life cycle, ensure top-notch data governance, keep incredibly detailed logs and documentation, and guarantee that there's effective human oversight. On top of all that, you're on the hook for accuracy, robustness, cybersecurity, and even reporting serious incidents. This is a profound operational lift for sure. Okay, so that's the AI Act. But remember, that's only half of the story. Now let's turn to the other half of this one-two punch, the NIS2 directive. While the AI Act is all about the AI systems themselves, NIS2 is focused on raising the entire baseline for cybersecurity resilience across Europe's most important sectors. The big thing to know about NIS2 is that it casts a much wider net than its predecessor. It covers way more sectors now, everything from energy and transport to healthcare, digital providers, and even public administration. And if AI is part of how you deliver those essential services, well, it is now squarely in scope. The directive demands a continuous, data-driven approach to cyber risk. The era of the annual check-the-box paper assessment, that's officially over. And here's one of the most intense parts of NIS2, the reporting timeline. If you have what's called a significant incident, you have to file an initial report, sort of an early warning, to your national authority within just 24 hours of finding out about it. 24 hours! That creates immense operational pressure and leaves absolutely zero room for delay or second guessing. Now, if there's one slide that should make every single board member sit up and pay very close attention, it's this one. NIS2 makes it explicit. Members of management bodies can be held personally liable for compliance failures. The stakes have just been raised to a whole new level. Accountability isn't just corporate anymore, it's personal. So what happens when these two regulations slam into each other in a real-world crisis? Just imagine a single cyber attack that involves one of your high-risk AI systems. Under the AI Act, you've got 15 days to report a serious incident to one authority. But under NIS2, you have just 24 hours to report a significant incident to a completely different authority for the same event. This dual reporting nightmare makes a siloed, department-by-department compliance strategy totally, completely unworkable. So this brings us right to the core strategic problem, what we call the compliance innovation paradox. The default view is that regulation is like a brake pedal. It's something that just slows innovation down. But we have got to reframe this. We have to look at it in a completely new way. This is all about a huge mindset shift. When you do it right, governance isn't some kind of tax on your speed. It's actually what enables it. Think about it less like brakes on a car and more like the guardrails on a highway. They don't slow you down. They give you the confidence to move fast, safely. And that's the crucial shift we all need to make to thrive in this new 2026 landscape. Let's just put the two views right next to each other. The old view sees compliance as just a cost center. It sees regulation as something that stifles creativity and risk as a checklist you just have to tick off. The new reality? It understands that governance is a trust asset, that regulation actually enables you to accelerate safely, and that risk management has to be a continuous, living process. This isn't just playing with words, it's a fundamental change in your entire strategy. Okay, so let's dig into that idea a little more. What does it actually mean to treat governance as a trust asset? How do you really turn these mandatory, sometimes tedious, compliance routines into measurable, competitive capital for your business? A trust asset is that tangible advantage you get from having governance that you can prove is working. It's not just a slogan you put in a press release. It's the real result of operational discipline. It's the confidence you earn from your customers, from your partners, and yes, even from regulators, because you can show them, on demand, that you are in control of your systems. It's about proof, not promises. And the value here is just immense. Beyond the obvious goal of minimizing fines, this approach builds deep, lasting customer trust. It enhances your brand's reputation. It becomes a genuine competitive differentiator in the marketplace. Internally, it gives everyone the confidence they need to adopt AI more widely. And externally, it dramatically cuts down on the pain and complexity of any audit. So the big question is, how do you get there? Well, that brings us to our final section, your strategic blueprint. Think of this as a high-level, actionable plan for leadership to start building this new capability right now. It really boils down to 3 critical steps. First, you have to establish integrated governance. Break down the silos. Create a central AI review board or a center of excellence that pulls in people from legal, ethics, data science, and the business units. Second, adopt a unified risk framework. You can't manage AI risk and cyber risk in different universes anymore. You have to map all your AI assets and plug them into one single, cohesive system. And third, you have to build for auditable proof. Move away from static policy documents sitting on a shelf and towards live systems that automate your documentation and give you a continuous, verifiable trail of evidence. And that brings us to the final critical question that you have to be asking in your boardroom. The 2026 convergence isn't some distant threat on the horizon. It is the landscape we are operating in right now. The actions you take today will determine whether this moment becomes a source of real competitive advantage built on trust, or a very costly and very painful liability. The choice is yours.